Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Wow, you guys snuck up on me today. I don't know if I'm in the right frame of mind. How are you? It's Monday. Mondays can be tough. Sunny Mondays are easier, but sunny Mondays after an overtime loss and in a crucial kind of a game are really miserable. So for all of you who are miserable and sleep deprived and whatever, my commiseration, okay? That's all I have to say. And I will continue to say the people, we poor people who live in the Eastern time zone are more sleep deprived than, believe me, the Central and Mountain folk. Because, I mean, think of it. Games there start at 7 or 6, and consequently you don't have to end up going to bed at midnight. Just saying. It was one of the hardest things I had to adjust to when I came here from the Central time zone. Do we just jump right in today or not? Yesterday I went to a few events, and one, the event was marked by a balloon. You know how I guess that's to help people know. Here it is. Here we are. There's a balloon, helium balloon. And the people who organized the event had told me they were going to put balloons up. And I said, don't put a bunch of balloons up. Balloons are ecologically totally not cool anymore. Don't. So I'm glad to see I talked them down to one. And then the rain beat it down to the ground. Ha ha. Then there was another big bunch of balloons on my street, probably a graduation celebration or something like that. And they were flying high for a while, and then the rain knocked them down too. But balloons, guys, stop it. I'm just telling you, stop it. I know they're fun, but there's a million reasons why they're not cool. I know it's not a big deal, but there's actually a federal court case now about balloons. And lest you think I'm picking up some funny little stupid story to tell you, this story was rather large in the Wall Street Journal last week. And it is because balloons are flying when they end up going up. If you release them, okay? That's the big no. If you release them, it's flying garbage, guys. That's flying garbage. You know, you might be horrified if you see someone in a car ahead of you roll down a window. They don't roll them down anymore. Bzzz, down a window, and then throw something out, right? Why the outrage? What pigs! Even animals don't soil their own nests, or birds for that matter. So, releasing balloons into the air, same thing. Turns out the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a athletic institution I've always hated for no particular reason. Every, I guess, football game they have, they release thousands of balloons after every touchdown. Can you stop and think? Red balloons, heading into the sky. And here's what the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will tell you about that. They find birds and other wildlife finding these balloons finally having come down somewhere. They look at these bright objects and they think, oh, wow, I don't know what that is, but it sure looks good. And they ingest the remnants of the balloon. they die. Also, the strings of the balloons can tangle up animals and also kill them, strangle them, cut off limbs, all this stuff. There was an adorable story, actually, I read about the other day about some police officer sitting in his car near a place where ducks frequent. And I guess it's often a place that he finds himself, and he enjoys watching maybe he's eating his donut, I don't know, watching, and a duck approaches, squawking, approaches his car and starts pecking at the door. This is very strange behavior. The ducks generally steer clear, and pecking at the door. He finally thought, we got a deranged duck out here. I don't know. He opens the door, and the duck, still squawking, turns and clearly wants him to follow. At least that's what he understood. And follow this duck he did. And the duck brought him to a little duckling who was tied up, all tangled up in string. And he very carefully untangled that little duckling. And it happily, ran away and joined its siblings. And the mother duck went right after. How cool is that? That a duck goes to a police officer for help and gets it. But I'm just saying, those strings on each one of those balloons that people release, they're killing animals. The balloons themselves are killing animals. Let me tell you what happened in Cleveland. 1986. Maybe you remember this. In Cleveland, they had something called Balloon Fest. And I don't know if they were intent on getting into the Guinness Book of World Records or what, but they released 1.5 million balloons into the air. But the winds, the weather, prevented them from moving away. They kept just sort of hanging out. Balloons ended up, get this, blanketing the city and falling into Lake Erie, right? Where they covered the surface of Lake Erie on the Cleveland shore. Meanwhile, guess what happened? 2 fishermen drowned after the Coast Guard, in a search and rescue mission, couldn't find them because there were all those head-sized balloons floating in Lake Erie, and they never rescued them, and 2 men died. Why am I laughing? I mean, I'm just saying, we don't think beyond our nose or beyond the moment we release a balloon into the air and ooh and ah as we watch it. Oh, how lovely. Look at all the balloons. When what we've released is pollution and death. The Guinness Book of World Records, guess what? It has since said, don't come to us with any efforts to win most balloons ever released. Don't do that, because we are getting rid of the category. And the reason they did it is because they apparently have a social conscience. Actually, there's about 6 or 7 states that do ban mass balloon releases. Some cities do as well. And I'm just telling you guys, think about it, will you? Don't do that. And another thing, I remember reading a few years ago that helium was in short supply for some reason. I don't understand that. I always think gas is all. No, helium was in short supply. Helium is needed for some, I guess, constructive purposes, and balloons ain't one of them. And there was an effort to try to warn people to stop buying those damn party balloons because the helium is needed for important things, like in manufacturing, I guess, and in medical situations and research. It's like Pittsburgh has this, love affair with fireworks. Fireworks, okay, fine. And balloons, I don't get any of it. I really don't. Fireworks are incredible if they're something special. But when fireworks become every day, what's so special about them? I used to see fireworks maybe once a year, right? The 4th of July. And we would genuinely ooh and ah while slapping mosquitoes that were biting us. This is July in Wisconsin. But I came here and I was just gobsmacked at how fireworks seemed to be going off every other day. I was dating a guy at the time, and every time we were on a date and going somewhere, we would be driving, let's say, across the Liberty Bridge, and all of a sudden, bang, fireworks would go off. And we started actually making a joke about how, yes, it's amazing. Just, we touch each other and fireworks, which, because it's Pittsburgh, it happens constantly. I don't get it. Okay, call me a curmudgeon. I'm blaming it all on the Penguins, okay? Bad mood. Here's something that'll lift your spirits. It's an obituary. You know how I love them. I do love them. I love them. I love them. I wish I'd found this one. It was an unnamed woman, I don't have her name, in Virginia, who, I don't know if she did this before she died, directed that this be in her obituary, or if it was her family that did it. But this appeared in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Faced with the prospect of voting for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, Mary Ann Noland chose instead to pass into the eternal love of God. She opted to die. Now, I don't agree with her, with the sentiment, but I think that's funny. All right. Has anyone seen this? I did not know it existed. Has anyone seen a new cable news network? Didn't Al Jazeera go down? Yeah. I mean, America, Al Jazeera America. But now there's something called RT America. Have you? Anybody? I don't even know if I get it or if my carrier carries it. But apparently it's big enough that a lot of talkers and news people who find themselves unemployed have joined up and are now to be heard and seen on RT America, including one of MSNBC's former primetime hosts, Ed Schultz, who I never could warm up to, but he was there, every night, until relatively recently when they did a shakeup and he lost his show. Ed Schultz, if you'll recall, I think he was billed as a prairie populist, and he was way to the left, really sort of he'd be a like Bernie supporter for sure. I mean, like a working class, pro-union kind of a guy. He's now on RT America. Now, let me tell you who owns RT America. The Kremlin. The Russian government. The woman who runs it here has a phone on her desk that doesn't even have, any way. It's just a phone. You pick it up and you are it's a direct line, secure line to the Kremlin. Ed Schultz has gone from being on MSNBC to a essentially public relations arm of Vladimir Putin's government. And as such, he has all of a sudden become somewhat enamored of Donald Trump. I read a piece by Michael Crowley about this, and it's really sort of mind-blowing. He has taken Putin. Putin likes Trump. These are two guys who could do business together. And now all of a sudden there's Trump, and he's like being lauded by Ed Schultz. Hillary Clinton is being eviscerated. And for those of you who might have been fans of Ed Schultz, I don't know how you deal with this knowledge, but I was never a fan, but I am shocked. I'm shocked. I don't know if this is available to us here in Pittsburgh, but apparently, who else now has a show with them? I think, what's his name? The half-dead guy who was on forever. CNN. Why am I blanking on his name, for God's sake? Huh? Larry King. So there was a big soiree big celebration of this new cable network on December 10th. And Vladimir Putin was the guest of honor. And this was held at the Moscow Metropole Hotel. And Larry King was the opened the ceremonies by video, apologizing that he couldn't be there in person. And Putin is cheering Larry King. And guess who else has a show? Then Jesse Ventura pops up. This is who now Ed Schultz is with. The bizarre thing about this is another person who's regularly on there and who I guess was at the head table with Putin that evening. A guy in a tuxedo whose name was, I forget his first name, Flynn, Michael Flynn. We have a call? Okay, well, dang it. Wait till you hear who Michael Flynn is. Hello, caller. Hello? Hello? We sure we got all the buttons up? Okay, never mind. Okay, Michael Flynn used to head, until relatively recently, the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. And he's sitting at the head table with Vladimir Putin because he's now, I'm sure he's getting a salary from Putin's network here. He is now, he left the DIA, apparently maybe was kicked out, I'm not sure. But he has this relationship with the network. He will not answer questions about it. But makes regular appearances in which he argues that everything the U.S. is doing in regard to Russia is wrong. This is the guy who headed the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's agency, which is a little CIA. It's the DIA, the CIA. This guy has been actively calling on Hillary Clinton to get out of the race. And he also apparently is an advisor to Donald Trump on his national security team. What the hell's going on here? I'm just saying. When Schultz took the job, it says here, he said that the Kremlin would not have any sway over him. He said, it's hogwash, ridiculous. Nobody's going to tell Ed Schultz what to say or how to say it. Well, an effort to actually talk to Schultz about this article, there was an interview scheduled, and it was all of a sudden, psst, Schultz wasn't talking for this article. I'm just saying, what the hell's going on there? Our former head of DIA, Ed Schultz, Jesse Ventura, and all cozying up to Vladimir Putin and probably getting their money from the Kremlin. What the F? Jeez. Weird. Apparently, this network's been around for 10 years. I don't think we get it. Where is it airing? It must air somewhere. So, Tony writes, wouldn't it be great if someone could invent a biodegradable balloon and string? I had no idea they cause so many problems. By the way, I don't get the fireworks thing either, and I lived here all my life. Apparently, here's the thing. There is, let me find that article, because there is one of the folks from Nebraska, the Cornhuskers who release these things all the time, say that, hey, they're biodegradable. So they are saying they're biodegradable. But I guess the Fish and Wildlife Service are saying they don't biodegrade soon enough. I'll tell you that. I don't know. I can't find the article. I must have eaten it. I start talking about ingestion, and the next thing I know, I'm doing it. So, there you have it. All right. Somebody help me here. I have this was just a little item in the Washington Post toward the end. And it was a whole story about how Hillary's now saying to Bernie, yeah, you got every right to keep on going. You just go right ahead and keep on going. Never mind me. And then at the end of this little article, it says this. Ms. Clinton, why are they calling her Ms.? Why wouldn't they call her... I mean, she's got 2 honorific titles that she's due. Secretary Clinton or Senator Clinton. And let me see, do they call Sanders Senator Sanders or Mr. Sanders? If they're I think that's a little weird. Anyway, Ms. Clinton also said she welcomes interest in potentially becoming her vice presidential running mate from businessman and Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. What? So Mark Cuban, Mount Lebanon boy, Mark Cuban has expressed interest in becoming her, although he wants her to pull back a little bit. He thinks Bernie's pulled her too far to the left. You come back just a little bit there, Hillary, and I'll come on board and whatever. She says she's, interested. Quote, I think we should look widely and broadly. It's not just people in elective office, it's successful business people we should be looking at. Hillary, no. What is that about? Your vice presidential running mate will be one of your heartbeats away from becoming president of the United States. I'll tell you this right now. I do not want Mark Cuban as president of the United States. He's got the same kind of bombastic personality as Donald Trump. A little bit erratic. Ego so big you can't fit it in the Taj Mahal. A need for attention. My understanding of his foreign policy chops, minimal to non. They're certainly no bigger than mine. Why would she be? Is she serious? I mean, there's this okay, so people think, well, Trump should put a woman on as his running mate to counter Hillary, or a definite politician to counter his total lack of understanding of how the government works. And now she, because of him, thinks that she has to show what? That she has a businessman on board? Give me a break. A loudmouth, bloviating businessman who's been on reality TV? What is it, like Trump light? What is that about? Because he's rich and outspoken all of a sudden, and putting himself out there as, hey, I could be your vice president. And then to hear her not say, but instead, yeah, I think successful business people, we should be looking at them. Well, I am just dumbfounded by that. I mean, Jesus, who's next? Papa John? He's successful. He's known. He's out there. The Papa! Yeah! Let's have Papa John. Let's have Ronald McDonald. What the hell difference would it make? Is anybody serious anymore? Please, is anybody serious anymore? And then did you see what our former governor, big Hillary supporter, former DNC chair, Ed Rendell said? Did you see that? I wish I had the whole thing here. I don't. He was saying, well, I'll tell you this, Donald Trump and this disparagement of women thing, all these comments he's made in the past, they're going to come back and they're going to hurt him. And here was Rendell's reason why they'd hurt him. He said something to the effect of that Donald is into, he's like rating women all the time on a scale of 1 to 10. He's really into 10s. And he's into D cups. I think he said that too. And he said, but most of the women in America... No, I'll get the quote. This part of the quote I actually have. It'll backfire on Trump because, here's Rendell's words, there are probably more ugly women in America than attractive women. And his point was that ugly women will be very offended by a candidate like Trump, who is always judging them on their physical appearance. Well, what the hell did Rendell just do? There's more ugly women in the United States than attractive ones? We've lost our minds. We've lost our minds. For Rendell to say such a thing, what is the fuck is he talking about? And who is he? He ain't exactly an Adonis, I'll tell you that. Who the hell is he to make a sweeping statement about all of us women and deciding that more of us are apparently homely? Ugly is his word. What do we do with this stuff? How are we supposed to react to this? Except by tearing our hair out and despairing and going and drinking too much or something. Oh. Hey, this is not a happy subject here, but I've got to ask you if my experience is the same as yours. I thought about it again as I was driving down here today. I drove around a lot this weekend. And last week, for some reason, when I came downtown, because I've been coming downtown now, Monday through Friday, for years and years and years, you know, you get to know the sense, the feel of a certain block of streets. You see certain people who are always there. The guy selling flowers right up here. The Muslim guy with the long white thing who sells those oils on the corner. Just, you know, you get to know the block and the usual suspects. And I don't know what to even say. I have been so stunned by all of a sudden, it seems, just huge proliferation in people begging for money. I mean, it is on Friday when I drove down here. Every corner my car stopped because of a stop sign. There was a person holding a handwritten sign on cardboard saying, please, anything, help me. I'm homeless, I'm a vet, I'm a this. A young woman in a wheelchair over here. Every corner I'm seeing them. Driving yesterday to an event. Anytime there's an intersection where cars end up stopped for a while in the East End, there are now people begging motorists and going up and down the lines. This is new. Yes, you would see one here, maybe one there. I guess you guys in the suburbs don't see this as much. I don't know. But this says something. Now, mean-spirited people might say, yeah, I'll tell you what it says, a bunch of lazy bums who could go get a job who are just taking the easy way out. Maybe some, but if you think the easy way out is standing in all kinds of weather taking what must be a lot of abuse from people, a lot of rejection, in the heat, in the cold, in the rain. It doesn't matter. There they are. I would think somebody who does that would rather have a job. And I'm willing to believe that the relatively young woman who was sitting there in that wheelchair for hours and hours and hours, you know, I'm willing to believe that an awful lot of people, most people walk right by, right? Most people don't give them anything. And I'm thinking, why would you not? Could you spare, buddy, could you spare a dime? That's what they used to say, right? Now it's, could you spare a buck? It was my sister who, years and years ago, told me, if you were reduced to doing that, I just think of anyone I care about. If you're reduced to doing that, give them some. Give them something, for God's sake. Because I have trouble walking by. I do. But something's going on. We know the economy is supposedly improved, but we also know that a ton of people have fallen out of the middle class and into despair, into homelessness, into need. We also know from polls that an astonishing percentage of Americans, now we're getting into like the 60% of Americans, if a need for $1,000 came up like that, you got to have $1,000, something, whatever, to repair something that you have to have for a medical emergency, whatever. Some huge percentage I read, I couldn't even believe it, of Americans would have a real tough time coming up with that thou. Well, things do come up. So we've got a whole nation of people, some of them living in nice houses, I'm sure, someplace, that are living that close to ending up on a street corner holding a sign in their hand. I don't know what you're supposed to do, but damn it, I think walking by is pretty tough. On the other hand, if there is someone on every corner, as there was last Friday, you can't. What do you do? I can't believe people can just stonily look ahead. There's someone actually at your window like this, and you... What's going on in your head when you're not responding at all? I mean, can you even look at the person? Can you look them in the face? Could you just say, I'm sorry? That would be even better. But to act like they don't even exist. It's like there's no comfortable way to navigate that reality. I never saw, in the high, I've seen beggars all my life. I have never seen as many as I'm seeing now. You can't walk around Squirrel Hill. You can't walk around there's no East End neighborhood. You can't go to wonderful East Liberty with all the and they're there. They're everywhere. You can't stop at a stoplight. I don't know what you do, but I got to live with myself, so I tend to give. And then those who say, well, you're just helping them buy their next drink. Well, you're just helping them, buy some drugs. Well, you're just, you know what? I don't know. But what I'm doing, it's a selfish act. I'm helping me be able to look myself in the mirror. That's what I'm doing. Caller? Hello?
Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Hi.
I'm glad to hear somebody else struggles with this. Do you give them money? Do you not give them money? And first off is I always look at them and say, I'm sorry, can't help. Because Buddha's religion says that to be generous, you first need to be generous with your eyes.
Yes,
and
no,
look
you
people
do.
In the eye.
I agree. And you absolutely have, if you don't have the guts, if you're going to turn them down, then at least have the respect for another human being to acknowledge their existence, for God's sake.
And part of what goes through my mind, too, is I don't have any cash. Because really, I rarely have cash in my wallet. When I do, it's a 20.
Yeah.
And so I'm becoming a cashless human being.
Yeah.
So there's that thing, too. Like, I really don't have cash on me. And I was on a date once, and I was coming out of my date was in a car, and it was in an Eaton Park, believe it or not. And I was coming out of the Eaton Park because he was in the car. I went back in to go to the bathroom or something. And I heard this family of well-dressed people, for the lack of a better term. And the husband said, yeah, that sucker over there just gave me $10. Then I walked to the car, and I said, what'd I miss? And he said, that poor guy came over and said that his car broke down, so I gave him $10. And that goes through my mind a lot. I want to be generous, but I don't want to be a sucker either.
Do you know, I remember you're reminding me of a story where my doorbell rang. I was living in Shadyside at the time. My doorbell rang. I opened it up, and there's a young man, well-dressed, on my front step. And he said, ma'am, I am so embarrassed. I don't know what to do. He had such a good line of patter. Again, it's always my car. I need bus. And, I'd heard this before. I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, this is not true. But he kept it up and kept it up. And here's what I said. I said, you know what? I don't want you to think for 1 minute that I believe what you're saying, because I don't. I don't want you to think I'm a sucker. But on the just infinitesimal possibility that what you're saying is the truth, I'm going to give you a little bit of money because I can afford to. So I gave him the money. And he had said, I will pay you back. I'll be back here. Of course, I said, and as he walked away, I said, I'm not expecting to see you again. And of course I didn't. Now, that gets away from not wanting to give them the pleasure of thinking they suckered you and of hopefully making them feel a little guilty, if that's possible.
Yeah, but I don't know.
How do you know?
It's an awkward position. You don't know.
Okay, I had the horrible thought when I saw the woman in the wheelchair, because she's a new one. I thought, I wonder if the wheelchair is a prop. I wonder if she really needs to be in it. Yeah, wait. Alex, who's in for Celine, wants to weigh in.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I was walking home. I lived uptown, and I was walking home, and a guy came up to me, and he put out his hand. I kind of could see where this was going, and he said, "Hey, man, it's my 40th birthday. Is there any chance you could give me $3 to get a slice of pizza?" And when he held my hand, he kind of held on to it a little bit too long.
You mean he grabbed your hand?
Well, yeah, he went out for like a hand slap, and then he kind of held on to it for like a little while. So I can't remember if I actually gave it to him, but the most bizarre thing is 1 week later, I'm walking up that same hill, and a different guy came up to me and said, "Hey, man, it's my 40th birthday. I need $3 to get a slice of pizza." And it's like these three details they were different people, but for some reason, maybe that was like a line of success that they had.
I don't see why that line would be any more
it's so
successful.
strange.
Why would you? He could
Happy
have at least had his 35th birthday.
Yeah,
You change it a little bit.
But I think, what Mike said is probably what this whole thing is about. It's about, are you more concerned about not being a sucker or feeling good about yourself or feeling good about being generous? So I think there are some people who are generous, then they open themselves up to being a sucker. And people who are so afraid of that they don't give anything, then they're closing themselves off to helping people,
There you go. Hey, what do you think of that?
And not to be argumentative, but are there murderers who give bills to the people that they walk by and say, see, I'm a good person. I beat my wife, but I gave that guy $1.
Well, maybe there are. Who cares? Who cares?
If my self-esteem is based on whether I give that guy $1 or not, shouldn't it be based on larger things than that?
Well, I don't know. I know that I always feel better if I share things, and that includes money. I always feel better when I'll go through a drive-through and the person is giving me my change back through the window, and I say, keep it. And there's a look on their face, and I just feel good. Is that obnoxious on my part? I know I've I've helped them a little, made their day, surprised them. I like doing that. Do you think that's creepy? I
don't know. Well, you're doing it for you because you
I am.
like it.
I admit it. But
there are people I think who do it because...
No, but most altruism has this selfish aspect to it. Because people who volunteer a lot, who do a lot of stuff for no pay or no recognition, and if people say to them, you are so wonderful, they will all say the same thing. Oh, no, you have no idea. I get so much more from this than I'm giving. And it's true. You feel good. So who am I to figure out which one's deserving and which one isn't when I know I feel better if I do? I'm just saying there's a proliferation now that you can't do it. You have to pick and choose, and then how are you doing that?
Like Alex said, by the best story.
Well, I will reward a good story. I like this kid who showed up on he was good. He was good.
Performance art.
Yeah, and I told him that. I said, I'm impressed. This was great, but don't you think I remember I just said to him, and it was unbelievable. But yeah, so we were both, I was straight with him. He was not with me, but I let him know I knew that. So I don't know. I came off feeling fine. I did not feel like a sucker.
Okay.
Well, to each his own.
Yeah, there's no, and the sad thing is, it has to be at the spur of the moment that you need to make that decision.
So it depends on...
I don't have time to sit there and think anything more than, do I have any change in my wallet? Any singles in my wallet? Right.
And the thing is, it's also I do believe in redistribution of wealth. I do believe that those who have it should give it, since our system is not redistributing it anymore very well, that if you have it, give it. It's why I tip well. It's why all those people who aren't making anything, but if they're doing a good job, give them money because no one else is.
You're such a liberal.
I am a bleeding heart.
You lefty liberal.
I know. I can't help it. It's how I made. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. But it's breaking my heart how many people are reduced to that now. I'm just stunned by it. And it's just recently. I mean in the last month or so. Maybe it's the summer brings them out. There you go. I don't know. Well, Mike, okay.
Have a good week.
You too. Bye. Bye.
Hey, Lynn, is this not just downtown? Because I've seen them on Smithfield. You're talking about East End, all these different neighborhoods?
I'm talking about East End neighborhoods. I'm talking about like Fifth Avenue and Penn. I'm talking about Penn and Braddock. I'm talking about Smithfield and 7th and 9th and I'm talking about any venue you go to. I'm talking about Trader Joe's. I'm talking about, any Highland Avenue. I'm talking about, everywhere. I mean, in the neighborhoods I live in.
So when you pass somebody and you don't give them anything, do you always say something?
No. You know, I admit it. Sometimes I do what a lot of people do. I act like I don't look.
Yeah.
I just keep moving. I've been known to actually cross the street. I'll see one up ahead on a corner. I think, I can't. And I'll cross the street. So it depends on my mood. I mean, some days didn't I ever tell the funny story about being in a fast food line in my car? Yeah, at it was a Wendy's.
Yeah.
And a guy is in it. The line was long and not moving. And a guy, I see him approaching, and I think, oh, shit. And he did not look like he was in good shape.
Yeah.
And he actually knocked on my window. And I felt even slightly a little threatened, frankly. But I can't not respond to a human being. So I put the window down a little bit, and I said, yeah. He said, and then, it started up. I'm homeless, I'm hungry, I'm this, I'm that. Could you please, please, ma'am, anything you got? And I thought, oh, God, all right. I reached over to my purse, pulled out my wallet, pulled out a bill, and as I'm handing it to him, I see it's a 20. And I think, oh, shit. But anyway, I give him the 20, and he says, oh, thank you, Granny. And I thought, fuck you. I almost
Give
wanted
it
to
back.
I almost grabbed it back. He must have thanked me Granny about 20 times, and I was laughing so hard by the time that thing ended. Thank you, Granny. Hi. Hello.
Hi. Hello, Lynn.
Hi.
This is Richard Perelbeck. I met with you at church yesterday.
Oh, yes. Hi, Richard.
I never knew you were still in broadcast. It was like you were a long-lost friend, because I used to listen to you when you were on the radio years and years ago, and then whenever that, the last radio station I believe you were on got bought out and turned into a sports talk, right before a presidential election, you know how they do it.
Yeah, no, the first one went to sports talk. The second one went to all business all day, and then went right down the tubes. Right. All these things never worked. And then I went to Whammo, and then they got bought up by a Catholic thing, and now it's religious.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so here I am.
So now I know that I can get my fix of, liberal media.
Liberal bleeding art media. Here I am.
Yeah. One person that I found, because like I said, I didn't even know you were still doing this, is Cenk Uygur, the Young Turks.
Yes.
Are you familiar with him
Yes, I
at all?
am. Yeah, he worked at, CNN, and they let him go, I think. Where is he now?
Yeah. He does his own YouTube channel called TYT Network.
Oh, and this is what one of the young women at your church said to me. I just started getting political this year, and she said, I'm from podcasts or on the internet. And I said, well, what are you listening to? And she said the Young Turks. So so she's listening. Well, I'll have to check him out then more.
Yeah, they do about 2 hours worth of news every day, and they're completely non-corporate. And if you want to get like commercial free, it's like $100 a year, which is what I do. And then you can watch the podcast, or you can download the audio version of it. So that's what I've been doing. And I notice I can download your past shows on this website also.
And being the idiot I am, you can do it for nothing. Would you pay money?
Well, the Young Turks, if you want to be a subscriber, I think it's $10 a month, or you can pay $100 for the year, so you get a little discount.
Wow! And
then you get commercial free. If you don't want to be a member, then I think you go to YouTube/The Young Turks, and they have all their stuff. But you got to watch a little 30-second Buick commercial
Okay, so
or
they
whatever.
do. I see. Yeah, I just lack all ambition, or I might try to do something too. But hey, I really enjoyed being with your community, church community yesterday. It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Made my
we
day.
really loved having you.
Well, it made my day. So thank you.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Spread
All
the
right,
word.
Lynn.
Spread
Nice
the word.
talking with
Okay.
you.
Nice talking to you, Richard. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah, I had to give like a sermon it wasn't a sermon. It was more of a reflection, or I don't know, at a church in the North Hills. And, yeah, what a nice bunch of people. Wow. Okay, here's somebody saying, I have a sick-to-my-stomach feeling that this increase I'm seeing, I do too, might have something to do with the opiate addictions we're hearing about. Maybe. I thought that too, although these people don't usually look like they're strung out or something. I don't know. Here's one from Craig. To be a sucker or a heartless jag-off. Anything we do for another person is a gift we first give ourselves.
Very nice.
That's it. That's it. And I don't think you have to feel bad about that. I think it's a very human thing that you feel good about doing something nice.
It's the
right?
best way of being selfish.
Yeah, it's the best way of being selfish. And selfish we are. Come on. Okay, I got a lot more emails here. Let's see what you have. Joe Ellen. It is my responsibility to help others if and when I can. It is their responsibility how they use it. Okay, I like what I'm reading here. Here is Rob saying, and the subject line is hobos. Funny you should bring this up. I have noticed the beggars around as well. And the last week on the Parkway East, I saw a woman begging with a sign and talking on a cell phone at the same time. Another woman by the West End Bridge who had an Apple Apple laptop on the wall. Are you sure? These did not look like people who were living in the elements. No. Well, if I saw any of that, no, you don't give. But are you sure this is real? Are you serious about the Apple laptop? Really? No. Well, then those are dumb beggars. Yeah. I just can't. No. I don't know, Rob, because I don't know you, and I'll take you at your word, but you know how people who don't believe in welfare or they're always looking at people's, you're in the grocery store, and if someone starts paying with with food stamps, they're looking, they're scanning, and they're saying things. And she had this in her, and I'm thinking, who the hell? What the? I mean, how mean-spirited do you have to be? Come on. Dave writes, Ed Rendell. I'm not in the habit of defending politicians from stupid things they say, but I think I know what he meant. Most women are not the hot 5-star knockouts Trump likes to surround himself with. And that's the point Rendell was trying to make very inelegantly, just as most men are not George Clooney, Brad Pitt types. Didn't come out right, but I think that's what he was trying to say. He was awful. I mean, I know. I don't know. Oh, I think I was responding to your next line. Get rid of Marc-Andre Fleury before the next game. Stop. He's such a sweet guy. But I agree. Get him out of the net. I think that's all. Margie says she's coming up here. She needs some money. Well, oh, dear. Oh, my God, we're out of time. I don't know. So, there weren't as many out there today when I came in as there were the other day. I actually feel nervous about it. And, I'm sure if I were the mayor or something, you can see why cities want to get these people off the streets, because it makes for an unhappy kind of atmosphere. But it's something we've brought on ourselves in so many ways that I don't know. Blaming them for being poor or desperate is not really the answer. One more, Dawn. Lynn, our mom always told us before we leave the house, keep $1 or a little change in our pocket to give away if asked. Oh, what a wonderful mom. If it doesn't hurt when it comes from the heart, also keeping a little change keeps one from pulling out a wallet or opening a purse. I've been harassed by the regulars if I gave once to them. I don't give to the regulars. Providing people information to get food and clothing is also something you can do. People that come to me about needing food, I've offered to get them a meal. They turn me down. Although one woman said, hell yeah. And she and I went to a pizza shop she was in front of begging for money. She even asked for a grape soda, too. Aw. Whatever. I think a real special person is the person that goes and eats with them. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for me because my time's done up. Enjoy the sun in this warming weather and, carry some change in your pocket. I think that's good mom advice. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.